Today we have a special guest from the American Revolution, the Young Republic era, Mr. Thomas Jefferson, back from the grave.
Yes, hello.
Now, Mr. Jefferson, do you feel like you were influenced by anything around you when you were writing the Declaration of Independence or in your second inaugural address?
Well, both of these documents in specific were direct references to events at that time. For example, my Declaration of Independence included a large amount of liberties usurped by the tyrant King George, such as his refusal to pass laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, his imposing taxes without the consent of the governed, and the obvious waging war on the colonies.
And the second inaugural address?
Well, my second inaugural address was essentially a reminder of what I had previously done as President of the United States. I mentioned my foreign affairs policy, I mentioned the expenses and my use of revenue, I mentioned and justified my purchase of the Louisiana Territory, and I also spoke of strategies employed with the Aborigines of the United States.
Would you say you have a legacy?
Well, I wrote the document that separated this country from despotic government and sparked the creation of the Constitution, including the Bill of Rights, thereby forming this country in which you now live in. I bought the Louisiana Territory and personally financed the Lewis and Clark expedition, which expanded the size of the United States significantly and designed and founded the University of Virginia. You tell me. Now, you may be asking yourself one question. Why should I care about Thomas Jefferson both as a person and as a writer? Well, he was a drastically influential person in the grand scheme of United States history. For example, he wrote the Declaration of Independence, which, as it was not the technical start of the Revolution, was heard around the world, it was a massively important symbol to the people of the colonies, because it represented that the aristocracy, which were the high class of people, were no longer a part of Britain. Therefore, the rest of the colonies were not, and the New World was now separate from the old country. He also did quite a bit in the area of food. For example, did you know that Thomas Jefferson was a large part of the popularization of tomatoes in the United States? Before this, the tomato was actually considered poisonous by the common bloke. But Thomas Jefferson, in his visits to France, found that he really enjoyed the taste of tomatoes, and he brought them back with him from France, and he featured them in a lot of his recipes. He also did a very similar thing with ice cream. He went to France, he found ice cream, he came back, because it's all yummy in the tummy, and people that visited him or something started to get more exposed to ice cream, and it got more popular. And now we have Moose Tracks and Haagen-Dazs.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas Jefferson, and enjoy the grave. Tune in next week for an exclusive interview with Chef Boyardee. You can send us ideas of which dead person to interview next on the link below. Thank you. Oh, Samson.